Broadcasting from the campus of Salisbury University, this is WSDL Ocean City, NPR News Talk 90.7, putting Delmarva first. It's time for Delmarva Today with your host, Don Rush.
Names like Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell, and William Judy Johnson are the famed names of the Negro National League. But here on the Eastern Shore, there's a move afoot to celebrate the black baseball players of the Eastern Shore. Welcome to Delmarva Today. This is Don Rush. Black baseball on the shore saw the formation of the Oaksville Eagles in 1910 when Jim Crow was in full swing. And recently, those who remember playing with the team near Princess Anne got together on what once was the site of the team's playing field. Among those is Kirkland Hall, former player and a man with a mission to not only bring some light to that era, but perhaps even a Hall of Fame for those black baseball players. Eastern Shore Negro League was established in 1932, and the black teams were quite popular in the African-American community, drawing thousands to the game. In our studio is, of course, Kirkland Hall, also Craig Mathias. He's a Somerset County Commissioner, as well as Clem Jordan, all former players. And welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, before we get to baseball, I want to turn to you, Kirkland. We have the passing of Julian Bond. What's your thoughts about his role in the civil rights movement and for the NAACP, because you obviously have been involved with the NAACP as well?
Well, Julian Bond was is a legend's icon. He was a visionary when he started the SNCC organization in the early 60s and then moved up to chairman of the NAACP. And he's committed his life to making quality of life better, not only for African Americans, for everyone that's involved. And it's sad that he died at 75, I think, is an early age, but his legacy will remain forever.
Craig Mathias, what about you? What are your thoughts? You're in the political realm here. Actually, one of the first, I think, the first African American to sit on that county commission. Hard fight to have that happen. What are your thoughts about his contribution?
Well, I do believe that his contributions are very significant. However, like a lot of African Americans that have really dedicated their lives to really make a difference and to try to get people to understand that this is one country and it's a diverse country and that all people should be given equal rights with equal opportunity. And he dedicated his life to see that would happen. I don't believe that he received the national recognition and appreciation from this country that he deserved. However, you still cannot take away from the gentleman the hard work and labor that he contributed in his efforts.
I want to turn to black baseball and, of course, the Oaksville Eagles. Kirk, I'm going to turn to you first. Just give us a little history about this team, where it came from, what kind of role did it play in the African American community and on the Eastern Shore in general?
Well, based on stories from my old uncles and fathers and cousins, the team was founded in 1910. My uncle George Milburn was one of the founders, along with a guy named Elmer Collins and some others who had seen a baseball game or heard about baseball and decided to start it in our community. So throughout the years, the team was very, very competitive. Brother Jordan probably can attest. I don't know how many times we beat him, but it was a very competitive team. And I think what led to our demise was that just the changing times. Young people trying to find jobs. A lot of them going off to college and never return. And we just could not find enough players. But basically what the team did for me, it taught me the work ethic, practice, listen to older people, tell them, give me advice about playing baseball, going to work, during your birthday, going to work before holidays, going to work on payday, going to work after payday. And these are things they taught me, and it just instilled into me. But baseball, and also kept us out of trouble. It was a meeting place where every young person could meet in the afternoons and weekends. And I don't know of any one of us that was arrested, in our youth, because of the baseball team.
Craig, what about you? What feelings do you have about the team in terms of what it did for you, in terms of your own personal development? Did you make me more responsible?
Oh, well, yes. I would say that, the competitiveness of the individuals on the team, one of the things that I took away from it was the very fact that they encouraged you and they did not accept you not doing your very best. They pushed, they believed in winning, and one of the things that I really have and try to instill within my own children and grandchildren is that if you put your mind to it and you put the best into it that you can achieve whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. And that particular team, had a long history of a winning tradition, and so losing was not acceptable. And that has carried over in my life that, I don't take losing anything that I get involved in.
Hey, Clemens Jordan, what about you? What did the team mean for you personally?
Well, it meant over in Delaware, we was in a separate division and league than they were, but we used to come over to play them. Like Bill Lewis's team, Bishop's team, they would play Oaksville every 4th of July, a doubleheader. And the team, and I was real young at the time. I was like 12, 13, but I used to go to the games, to watch the games, because they was very competitive and intriguing games. And I could hear some of the guys on their talk. They would say, "Man, we go to Oaksville next week." Oh, and they was just amazed about doing it. Then when I got of age to play, 16, 17, to play with the team I was with, the Sevierville Hawks, we got the opportunity to go to Oaksville. Then we saw what it was like. In the tradition, the people were there, and they, on a Sunday afternoon, they were there coming after church, and they brought their kids, and now sometime I wish that we could go back and do the same thing now with the kids with baseball, because there's not enough of them out on the fields now playing baseball. But I really enjoy it. I sit back and I think about it all the time. We was there a couple of Sundays ago. The Oaksville Eagles had their reunion barbecue, and I had an opportunity to attend, and it was very nice to be in that atmosphere of those guys and the stories they used to tell, where what they played and what they done, blah, and it was very nice, very nice.
Now, obviously, you played post Jim Crow, I assume. Tell me, I'll tell you, Kirkland, what was that, from what you talked to your relatives about and the people who were involved? What was it like to have a black baseball team or a set of black baseball teams in this period of Jim Crow? And I understand though that they still played some white teams, I think, as well. So I mean, what is that history?
Yes, they did, and just like Oaksville didn't want to lose, the white teams didn't want to lose either, and they'd bring all-star teams to play Oaksville. And I saw some talented baseball players on both sides, and I think Oaksville may have won some, and they won some, but you could see that baseball, and I still believe today, I don't think there's anything that bring more different ethnic groups together than athletics and baseball. It did that, and we had black and white. One had one set of bleachers, so it wasn't white on this side and black on that side. They had to intermingle during the course of the game. And as a youth, our role was run to find the foul balls. And white kids and black, we all ran up foul balls. And I can remember sharing balls with other kids because we knew the lay of the land. And we didn't hide balls in the woods either. I
heard about that.
You accused them. Yeah.
We knew the lay of the land. And it was just, we got a chance to meet all the different high schools. We got a chance to make some friendships, long-lasting friendships with some of the white kids that were there. And the same thing with the baseball players. And it was just a day of fun and competition. And everyone left, feeling good about themselves.
So I understand this was baseball in particular was really a popular activity in the African American community. I think I ran across one quote. I think it was Leon Taylor, manager of Centerville Black Sox, who said that that's all you had to do. I mean, there wasn't anything. There wasn't football. There wasn't basketball. Baseball was it. Was that pretty much it?
I don't know about Delaware, but baseball was the only thing that we knew about. I didn't find out about basketball until I got in 7th grade. With them when we went to the high school. I didn't know that was such a game. I'd never seen it played before. But once I got in high school, we had a chance to see the game of basketball, and of course we adapted to both sports.
What about you?
Well, I think it goes back to there was not a little league. Now, it's very integrated now. But back when I was a kid, it wasn't many blacks that were playing little league. So that meant we played baseball ourselves, between ourselves, after church and got together and played it. But now, and then when I came along a little bit later in not high school, but playing out in the Negro Leagues, the teams were a lot integrated. Back when you was talking about pre-Jim Crow, I don't think the guys had even bothered them because they had their own teams and they got out there and they enjoyed it. It was a family-oriented thing. It made it like a picnic. The women brought food out on Sundays and we got out and played ball. And I think the Little League had a lot to do with why, like Kirkland said, he didn't get involved with basketball until later because the younger 7, 8, 9, 10, and early teen kids did not play a lot of Little League. They just went out themselves, got them some grass sack bags, put dirt in them, made a baseball field. So that's what I think that's coming from.
Craig, what about you? What were your thoughts about it?
Well, in regards to the Jim Crow era,
yeah.
Well, I did not, in my age,
right.
I didn't have the opportunity to play organized baseball with any one of the other ethnic groups until I was about 13.
And what year would that have been?
Oh, my Lord. Let's say in 1970.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, 68, 69, somewhere around here.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I was able to play Pony League in Crisfield. And that was interesting because I think on my team there were only 2 or maybe 3 African Americans. And of course, there were no African American coaches. And the way I became familiar with baseball was because my grandfather and my uncle used to play catch with me and so forth. And then I had some neighbors that I would play baseball with. But other than that, I really did not have any interaction with those of the opposite race in my early years in regards to athletics. So it was, Little League was all white, and I didn't even know what Little League was at that time. It was an opportunity that a lot of African Americans missed because they just didn't have the opportunity to participate.
Right.
One of the things that struck me is that that there was an observation that the white teams, at least during the Jim Crow period, white teams played during the week, black teams played on Sundays and holidays. Is that right?
Well, I think the rationale is because most of the black players, they were laborers. And I know my father, my uncles, and because all of them worked at the lumber mill. They worked at the lumber mill during the day and found something else to do at night. They were probably fatigued and trying to raise families. And they didn't have the extra money to travel up and down the highway and to invest in baseball. And so it just became a tradition. Matter of fact, during the early years, Oaksville only played on Sunday. And you heard Brother Kim just mention it was after church. And you had to go to church or you didn't play baseball. And there was some that got away with it, but they weren't, their parents, they were older and they weren't under care of the parents. But if you had a father or mother, you went to church first and then you went to the baseball field. And again, it was always on Sunday afternoons until we got Eastern Shore Baseball League. And we were the first African-American team to play in that league. They were played on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And that was a hardship, something we're not accustomed to, and it was quite expensive.
Now we're talking about the Oaksville team, which was established in 1910, but the Eastern Shore Negro League wasn't established until 1932. How does that fit together? I mean, was that just a formalization in 1932 of the group of teams, or what's the history there?
I think it was. Again, when I know in Oaksville, again based on folklore and stories that were told, it was just something for those guys to do on weekends. And I don't know how sports became an interest, but again, I think Uncle George, I think some others traveled somewhere, saw some men playing baseball in the field, and they came back and brought it to our community. And the leagues were like I said, weren't formed until maybe the 30s or 40s, but they just got together and just played baseball. And there was a baseball team in every community, basically on the shore. Almost every community had a baseball team. So there was always teams to play, and they always kept you busy. So I get that something to occupy the time on weekends.
Clem?
Yes, just piggyback on what Kirkland was saying, there was a lot of teams in a lot of communities. I know when I used to, in the summertime, even though I was living up here in Delaware, I would go to the Eastern Shore of Virginia and stay with my grandmother to work in the fields in the summer. There were baseball teams in about every little town down there. We had a baseball field right across from my grandmother's house. And that team was called Reedtown. Reedtown, you had Transville, you had Kenzie's, and you had Cheapside. All those teams down there in Virginia, like every little town had a baseball team. And was very, couldn't wait till I get out of school up here to go down in the summertime because I know we'd be playing baseball down there. And it was really fun. Really fun. We would build our own field and build our own bleachers like Kirkland was saying a while ago. We had one bleacher. Everybody sat down. You charge like a quarter, 50 cents. Somebody may have some snowballs stacked there to sell. And, it was, I was young. I was, 11, 12 years old. But I like to always say, things that you really enjoy, no matter how old you were, you never forget them. And it's been a few years ago, and those times I had a good time, and I'll never forget them. Never forget them.
What about you, Craig?
Well, I really did not become involved in the team with Oaksville until I was in my early 20s, I believe. And it was an experience. My sister happened to marry one of the baseball players, and then that's how I came in contact with a lot of these guys, and that's how I really became involved in the baseball with Oaksville. And it's been a lifelong friendship with a lot of those guys, and it was a real good experience. We traveled to a number of places to play baseball, and a lot of times, on Sundays, one time I'm a pastor also, so I haven't always been saved, and a lot of times if they didn't have 9 players, they come knock on my door, and some of those times I was just barely getting in that night from that night. And they would coerce me to come on and go along with them. And half the time I'd be asleep until we arrived wherever we were going, trying to regain my composure.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
So Kirkland, tell me, now there are some at least prominent baseball players that came out of the Eastern Shore, right?
Yes. Well, if you, I know, well, from Oakesville, my brother Kim was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in 1972. Then in the later years, Ira Smith, who's from the Eastern Shore, Ryan Thompson from the Eastern Shore. Then that was Harold Baines from the Eastern Shore, Delano DeShields from Delaware, from Seaford, and there were quite a few players who got the opportunity. But during our era, a lot of us just were before our time.
Right.
They compared us to Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente, those guys, and Jackie Robinson, and we, although we were, I guess, talented, but size-wise, we were not, didn't have the physical stature of some of those Hall of Famers. But at least we enjoyed the game. It was a lifetime experience for us, unforgettable experience for us. So we got our money's worth out of participating.
I was mentioning that because it was William Julius Judy Johnson. He has some Snow Hill connection.
Yes.
What about that? And he was inducted as first black coach, I think.
And I know him. Man, when my brother Kim was drafted by the Orioles, somehow it was in the newspaper, and Judy Johnson, and that's the first time I ever met him. He came down and met with my brother and my parents and explained to him the logistics of the baseball contract. And if I don't recall, he did say one thing. If I recall, he said, if you sign a contract, make sure there's a clause that if something happened, that you'll get enough money to finish your college. He was a junior in college. And Lord behold, he got hurt in Miami, Florida. And during those times, it was pins when you broke something. But now it's reconstructive surgery.
Right.
And I think that basically ruined his career. And also, I think it was lovesick, too. He had just gotten married and wanted to get back home, too. So there's conflicting stories on that. But he did advise him. And ironically, I coached Judy Johnson's grandson at UMES, which was a unique experience. And I'm not going to comment on his ability, but
he was unique.
It was a unique opportunity just to coach him.
So are there, as you look back at the times you played, or were there any exciting plays that you were involved with that stick out in your mind?
Any exciting? Well, my brother and I were always competitive. He told me some stories last week that broke my spirit because I thought I was a better hitter than him, but he always said he was the best hitter, and so he says, "Well, I got drafted." But anyway, I can call a couple against him. I guess the game that stands out the most in my mind was against Pecos, the Eastern Shore Baseball League. When Oakesville Eagles folded, I went and joined the Pecos team. I played all the inner squad of scrimmages. I caught that during that time was the end of my career, and I caught every game. I thought I did well, but during the first game of the regular season, the manager told me that blood was thicker than water, and what he did, he let his son catch, and I had to sit on the bench. And at my age, I brought my kids down, my family. I thought I was going to show off. So what I did, I said, I appreciate the opportunity to practice with, and I joined the Virginia Shores baseball team out of Virginia. And the first game we played against Pecos, I hit 3 home runs. I would hit a 4th, but hit out of the whip. I felt like Superman that day. And I remember the coach saying, he can't hit another. He can't throw a strike. He can't hit it. And again, the 4th one hit the center field wall and bounced back. And of all the games I remember, I had some good games, but that was one that stands out the most. It was a revenge game.
What about you, Clem?
Well, I can remember we played an all-star game out of the league we was in over in Delaware. We had teams of Smyrna, Denton, Slaughter Neck, Millsboro, Georgetown, and of course our Selbyville, Easton, and Denton. So we put an all-star team together, and we went up to we played up to Dover one night against Canada Dry. It was semi-pro team, the champions out of Wilmington. So I got nominated for the team. My brother Calvin was on there, Steve Jorman, and Larry Tarr. And we played, and we beat those guys that night. I mean, we was very intense. I mean, a couple of the guys was out there messing around and didn't take it serious, and we got real serious about it. But we had a great game, and we enjoyed it, and that kind of said, hey, we put ourselves on the map that we had some good players down in Lower Sussex County to compete with the teams up in Wilmington. And I'll never forget that night in Dover when we played that night. It was an honor to be picked on that first All-Star team, but it was also an honor to be playing like that.
What about you, Craig?
Well, I guess the most memorable game, I wasn't playing with, I didn't play with them that day, but I was playing with a gentleman, Mr. Sam Doan, who played with Oaksville for years, and I don't even know where we were. We were somewhere in Virginia, and I don't remember the name of the place, but it was really an experience because we had difficulty getting there. And I believe once we got there, I don't recall if they didn't have enough players, and they called someone out of the stands, and I believe we were winning, and someone started threatening the ball players on our team. It was quite an experience. It was a humbling experience, and I just never forget. Like I said, until this day, I do not remember the area, but I know it was a long, intense drive, and it was another gentleman, Mr. Jesse Lucas, who was working with Mr. Sam, assisting him also. And they got this team together, and we went up there to play, and it was really, really an experience.
So, Kirkland, what do you want to have happen? I know it's, as I've read from particular newspaper, talking about certainly some kind of pamphlet about the history, but maybe even a separate Hall of Fame. What's your thinking about all this?
Well, the Hall of Fame idea was not to take the place of the Hall of Fame for the Eastern Shore Baseball League. I had a chance to meet, we kindled my relationship with Brother Clem in May April. The UMES baseball team sponsored the MESC baseball tournament at Purdue Stadium. And we all were there, and we just started talking about the old days and talking about all the experiences. And then in June, when the Shorebirds hit the Negro Baseball Day, we had a chance to talk again. And Brother Clement, I'll let him elaborate on that, but they have a Hall of Fame in Delaware. And what we could try to copy that model. But what we want to do is recapture all the baseball teams that played in this area from the inception until all the teams folded. And if you see that hat that Brother Clem has, we want to showcase that we did have baseball back in the day. Mm-hmm. And we'll get a hat, polo shirts, T-shirts with all the teams listed on that shirt to let our young people know that there were baseball teams in this community, that it was viable, and it was real, and we all participated. And then also our plan to hope to put together something in writing to get to recapture the history of all the teams. And I'm trying now to locate pictures. I'm trying to get newspaper articles, and it's going to probably be a lengthy process, but if I'm blessed, Lord bless me, a few more years of life, and hopefully in a couple of years, we have that done. What we did in Oaksville, we took some pictures, and that's something that we didn't do too often back in the day. Mm-hmm. And we just wanted to play baseball. Mm-hmm. Right. And we just did not envision that baseball would end as abruptly as it did back in the 70s and 80s. And so it's just an idea that I had to get talk with Clem and others, just to recapture the history and put it in writing so that young people can understand and even see pictures. And I was able to locate quite a few pictures that I didn't know existed from Oaksville. There were some people who played on the team in Oaksville that I didn't know. I knew those people, but I didn't go on to Kirkwood. I heard the name, but I found a picture of him in an Oaksville Eagle baseball uniform. Now, I don't know how great a player it was or what position he played, but I got a picture. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to do that, and we're trying to invite other people to join us. And next year, we're going to have another union, and we're going to hopefully have it in Delaware. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to let Clem talk about what they do with their Hall of Fame and what we're trying to do with Oaksville. With the Negro Baseball League.
Yes, as Kirkland mentioned, I'm an inductee and a member of the Delaware Afro-American Sports Hall of Fame. which we got started in 1998, I believe it was, if I may be wrong, but anyway, somewhere in the neighborhood. We induct 12 people from throughout the state of Delaware per year, 4 per county. And we have an annual banquet in April at the Modern Maturity in Dover. And it's right now we have over, right now our membership is up to like almost 200. And inducteeship from back there, we're getting up there over 100. And each year we've got women, we've got men, we've got blacks, we've got white, and that's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And in order to be an inductee, you have to, all your activities or your playing career has to be in the state of Delaware. But it's a growing organization. And when Brother Kirkland asked me about try to get this together, I was very enthused. I got another friend of mine, Howard Smack, who is a member, inductee, and he's very interested in helping this thing to get off the ground. And we are very proud of our organization. Matter of fact, Saturday night, our organization is at the Shorebird Stadium. We're there. We got some members coming down from Wilmington, Dover, and we're going to be there to the game. We've got tickets to the game. We're going to be up in the skybox. Just we're not going to be there to be. They may recognize us, but we're just being there as a team and just to socialize a little bit. And it's a great organization. I would love to see the Lower Eastern Shore here to start something of that nature down here, because I'm very proud of myself as being asked to be or being inducted, being a member there, and have your picture. We have I can't call it name, a trifold where we take around to different organizations with, and also I'm a founding member of the organization, and your picture is on that trifold as a founding member of an organization.
And don't let me add, if I could, this organization, this Hall of Fame per se, and we did get endorsement from the Shore Baseball League there, because they mentioned at the last meeting they want to participate and help us out in the way they can, and hopefully they want to do something jointly next year. But baseball is a requirement that you have to have played baseball. However, your abilities will not get you in this Hall of Fame. What we want to do, if you play baseball and you contribute something positive to society, right. These are the individuals they want to rest. Although we showcase in baseball, but also showcase what those baseball players did after their careers were over. And not saying it because Patrick Mathias is here, but I'm quite sure he's a sure candidate, from playing baseball to become the first African-American county commissioner in Somerset County. And these are the individuals that we want to recognize from Delaware all the way down to Virginia. And I think it will be a good sale. And I think our kids because our kids don't know the history. And matter of fact, a lot of people don't know the history. And I think this is what's important. It'll showcase baseball and also showcase the contributions that these former players made in society.
Well, we've been speaking with Kirkland Hall, also Craig Mathias, he's the Somerset County Commissioner, as well as Clem Jordan. All played baseball, and the black teams that were here have now disappeared, I guess, from the scene, but Kirkland is trying to revive at least some sense of history, and I appreciate all of you stopping by and talking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This has been Delmarva Today. I'm Don Rush, and thanks for listening.
This has been Delmarva Today, a production of Delmarva Public Radio. Chris Rank produces and is our audio engineer. Don Rush is your host. For podcasts, visit our website, delmarvapublicradio.net, or subscribe to the Delmarva Today podcast on iTunes. Delmarva Today can now be seen on PAC 14. To view the schedule, view the daily times, or visit pac14.org.